All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Get a Load of This. It's a trucking podcast where we just want to bring tremendous value to truck drivers, trucking company owners, fleet managers, and the industry as a whole. As always, your host, Cameron. Today with me, I've got special co-host Ryan Young, one of
Hello.
my producers out of Valley Trucking. What up, Ryan?
How's it going?
Hey, welcome from the great north, Vancouver, BC. And I'm super excited. Today's episode, I am so excited about. We've got a special guest, actually, two of them here from Next Generation in Trucking Association. We've got Dave Dein. Dave,
Hey, how's it going?
welcome. Super excited. And then we've got Lindsay Trent. Lindsay, thank you for joining us.
Hey.
So, something we like to do with our podcast, especially with us being centric around trucking, and I think I know the answer because Dave drives truck, from my understanding, but we want to find out what your CB handle is or would be if you were in a truck. So, Dave, I'll let you kick that off.
All right, so I picked up mine in 1992,
Okay.
and we had a rough year hauling. We were hauling agricultural tomatoes that year, kind of a slow season, and apparently I became a sounding board for a lot of the drivers. So one day a driver, he says, "You're kind of like a doctor." And that name stuck, and I've been the doctor ever since. So I'm the doctor.
Awesome. Perfect. So you're rolling down and people are tagging doctor. Love it.
Yep.
It's not
That's
kind of like
awesome.
a doctor, it's doctor.
Lindsay, what about you?
I cannot even think except for the fact that my life is a little crazy right now. I'm trying to manage my full-time job and next gen. I have other serving capacities, and I have a husband and two kids that are in sports.
Oh.
And so I would say maybe the crazy lady, but not the bad crazy, the good
No.
crazy.
Yes, the organized and
I like to.
controlled chaos.
I'm going to call you Wonder Woman.
That's what it
Okay.
sounds like.
Yes.
I like that.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So you're not busy at all then.
Yeah.
In between juggling that, and in fact, it's kids are amazing. I'm coaching my youngest daughter, who's 6, her soccer team. So we do that 2 times a week, and then something a resemblance of a soccer game comes Saturdays. It's basically just trying to herd cats, and they're cartwheeling down the field and chasing butterflies and stuff. But it's so fun. I absolutely love it. It's amazing.
Awesome.
So that's great. So Next Generation and Trucking Association, you guys align right along the mission that we are after, and it's all just around the trucking industry and pushing it forward and promoting and disrupting the industry norm. Tell us about, I guess, kind of the start of that, your involvement, and you guys can take whoever you want, Dave or Lindsay first. Run us through that. I'm excited to hear and our guests to hear about it.
Awesome. Well, I can start. So, I've been in trucking about 10 years. I started off doing driver staffing, and I've worked for Ryder the last 4 years in sales.
Oh, cool.
And one of the conversations that I have with everybody at a company, from the receptionist to the C-level person, is just the fact that there's this huge problem that we hear about constantly, and that is the driver shortage. That there's just not enough young people getting into the trucking industry, and it's an aging population. And so, I've had so many conversations, and I've heard about this problem, and I know that there's solutions out there, but I felt like if we could come together as an industry and really work on the problem and create solutions in terms of workforce development and getting young people interested and introduced to the trucking industry, then we could have a huge force if we work together. And doing that, I was introduced to this guy in concept, Dave Dein, who started this program and created it out in California. And so one day we had a conversation, and then we just kind of morphed with this idea of creating a nonprofit trade association to work on career technical education for trucking and to really reach those young people and introduce them to the great career that's trucking. And that's how we kind of got together and started forming it.
Oh, that's awesome. Dave, do you want to elaborate on that? And it sounds like you're a big driving force of that. And you guys are hitting in the high school age group, right?
That's
at
correct.
At a very young age, which is amazing. And I know that trucking is a very respectable career. There's so many opportunities and so many doors that it can open, but a lot of people don't look to that as a desirable career path, if you will. Most people, at least me growing up, thought firefighter, thought policeman, thought finance, banking, that kind of industry. So what led you down that career path, Dave?
I grew up, my dad was a truck driver in World War II, so I kind of grew up hearing the stories of freedom and adventure. And, trucking was always like, something that I was always drawn to it. And so I started driving in 1988 and drove for a little while, then decided to go back, get my business degree, and then went back into trucking. And then I started a nonprofit called Faith Logistics, and I would work with people coming out of prison. I would teach them how to drive a truck and then help them with job placement. Awesome. And we did that for 10 summers. It was the high point of my year. And in 2016, the wonderful California Air Resource Board deemed all of our equipment non-compliant. And so in 2016, we dissolved the nonprofit. But it was about 2 months later, I actually heard about Patterson's Unified School District that had this supply chain program. They're teaching warehousing skills, they're teaching forklifting certification. The missing component was truck driving. And so I kind of reached out to the superintendent and kind of shared with him some facts and figures, and he immediately said, yeah, we're doing this. And so that's what got us started, and this is our 5th year. But I'd like to introduce, one of my students was just walking by, and I could just yanked him and pulled him into the classroom. His name's Eduardo, and I'm going to have him share the reason why he decided to take this class. And I think it's kind of a story, and kind of hear from a student's perspective, because he has to run here in about 10 minutes. But I figured, come on, get in here and share.
Yep, do it. We're not going to get a sugar-coated version. Let's get the real version.
So let me bring Eduardo. Okay. All right, here you go.
Come on, Eduardo.
Eduardo, what's happening, man? Welcome.
How's it going?
It's going good, and you guys?
Good.
Hey, doing really good, man. We're excited to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about you and this program, what it's doing for you.
So my name's Eduardo. I'm a senior at Patterson High School, and I'm actually turning 17 in 1 month from now. So the reason I joined the trucking program was because of a job assessment, and one of the things I received a letter from Mr. Dein saying I scored highly on this job assessment and that I was a good candidate for this trucking program, and that sort of drove me into taking a chance with this class and trying something new.
Cool. Had you had any exposure to trucking prior to that, or any desire to go in that direction at all, or was it purely on this assessment that placed you in that direction?
My grandfather is actually a truck driver.
Oh, nice.
But prior to the job assessment, I never thought of trucking as a desirable career.
Right. What do you think now that you're in the program? Tell us some highlights and what you get excited about when you go into class.
Every day it's something new, right? I'm always excited to come into this class, come after school for lab, get on the simulator. I think one of the best things about this class is that Mr. Dein is always kind of getting us up and going, trying to pump us up in a way. I'm going blank right now.
Yeah, what is drawing you to, obviously right now it's kind of a field of study, but are you thinking of following it through, and what's drawing you to it, if so? Like, what are the qualities that you like so far?
Yes, I definitely do plan on getting a CDL, getting a job after high school. I'm going to use truck driving as a way to propel my college degree. I'm going to be driving in the summers, on the weekends if I can. And I honestly really, really love driving.
That's awesome.
Great.
Eduardo, it's going to open so many doors for you. This industry is great. It's full of so many amazing people that truly, such as Lindsay and Dave, their mission is to share, right, and guide the next generation and really instill values and show them what opportunities are out there. So, man, that's so cool that you're able to share with us. This is a treat. I love that.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Heck yeah. Any parting words of wisdom?
I think truck driving is just a wonderful career. Like, it's not what I expected, for sure, because there's this social stigma that truck drivers are overworked and they're dirty, but in fact, it's actually a really nice professional career that you can
Yeah.
get started in.
It's all mindset. I mean, it really is. So it's how you carry yourself and uphold yourself as an individual. So, and man, kudos on the career pathing and trajectory at such a young age, man. That's awesome.
That's great.
That's really cool, man. Thank you so much for joining and sharing that with us. That's cool.
Thank you as well.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks,
All
Eduardo.
right, buddy.
Thanks.
Until next time.
Man, that's neat. What a treat. We get an actual student perspective on the program and real life impact. So that way I know Dave's not just making this up.
Right?
No, that's cool, man. And you obviously are bleeding through to the younger generation, and like they can feel your passion and show that you actually truly care about the industry. So, which is what we're about, man.
So we're
That's
going to ask
awesome.
you to keep in touch with him, and then in 2 or 3 years, we're going to get him back on.
Oh, well, one of the things he
Follow
shared
up.
with me, he wants to pursue a degree. He's talking about looking into like an engineering degree that's focused on like new truck technology.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he could have a huge part in the future of trucking.
Yeah, and there's
No,
so many
that's
different facets, Ryan. You've got a buddy that works on that side of things, correct?
Yeah, I have a couple friends, actually. I got a friend who works for Packer and is helping develop like the technology for, I guess, electronic and autonomous trucks. And then I have another friend who works kind of in the battery engineering side of things, and they work directly with trucking companies as well. So
Right on.
interested to see where that goes in the future.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was in a presentation today and they said, kind of historically, where kids are at today is the parents have said it's either or. It's either you get a job right out of high school or you go to college, and there's no mix in it. And I think he's a perfect example of both. Like,
Right.
he's going to get a career technical education degree, get a really good job as he works his way through college,
Yep.
and has lots of different experiences and different avenues to explore within the trucking industry and manufacturing and logistics and supply chain. It's going to open so many more doors for him, and really the sky's the limit.
Yep.
It
And
is.
so we need to stop this. You either go to college or you just get a job. It's like, why can't we incorporate
Yeah.
more programs and really open people's eyes? And let's hope that he doesn't go to college and get student loan debt. He can work his way through.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the
Especially-
more realistic situation, right? That most students are going to need some form of work while they're in college anyway, and why not have both of those things align with each other if you're capable of doing that? It's going to have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely think so. And actually, what's enlightened me there, and a takeaway out of that, it's not, hey, I'm just getting a CDL to go drive.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what the program's geared at. It's about the industry. Hey, I want you to get exposed to the industry and the opportunity within and the different levels that whatever you choose to do within there, you can still be a part of it, and it will still provide a great career, great opportunity to satisfy whatever your desires are. Because I mean, there's so many different facets within this that it is amazing. So that's awesome.
One of the things we do to kind of open up that door is that, you know, we begin in every class session with just daily updates. You know, we look at what are the hot topics of the day. We go through 4 or 5 of them. So they're very well exposed to new technologies, current legislation that's affecting trucking. They're very well balanced. And so
awesome.
when you carry on a conversation with them, they can they can converse with, you know, what about the industry itself. And I really want these students to, my goal isn't just to train somebody to get them behind the wheel.
Right.
I want to work with people that really that are passionate about the industry, that care about the industry as much as I do.
Yeah.
Because that's how we change the industry, by bringing more people with a first career choice, not their third and fourth career choice. And they're
Right.
just taking it by default because they got to pay the bills. And so
Right.
we got to kind of go back and rethink about, you know, what does this look like from the beginning?
Now, do you guys have the stats on like the median age of current driver and then like maybe the entry age of drivers into the workforce? What does that look like right now?
Do you, Lindsay? I mean, the latest one I
Yeah,
heard.
so the latest that I've heard, and I hear the number fluctuate a little bit, but a new entrant into the industry is 38 years old,
Okay.
and the average age of a truck driver for a fleet is 54 years old.
Wow. That's mind-boggling numbers.
And also, that presentation I was in today, it said that 60% of kids go to college right after they graduate high school, but only 22% of jobs require a 4-year college degree. And it said out of 10 jobs, one requires a professional degree, 2 out of 10 require a 4-year college degree, and the rest require career technical education, skills, and certification.
Wow.
And so I think we're going to see a shift in our country and in our mindsets that career technical education is the way to go.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a process, and it's going to take some work on our end.
Yeah, and it's going to take organizations like yours, because what are you guys doing to spread the word and get into other schooling and other curriculums where you take an assessment like you've done here and enlighten somebody to, hey, this is a career opportunity. Let me show you how great this career is. What do you think on that, Dave or Lindsay?
Well, I can just tell you one thing that we're doing, creating other partnerships. And
Okay.
in November, we're going to be presenting to the entire Association for School Counselors.
Awesome.
And so we'll get about 20 minutes in front of all the school counselors across the United States, and we're going to present jobs in trucking. And so I just don't feel like maybe they know about the trucking industry, and we're
Right.
going to enlighten them about all these amazing jobs.
That's
And I know
great.
Dave's doing a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, as far as when we look at, you start something small and it kind of grows. I mean, that's really what happened here in Patterson. It started off with a lot of word of mouth, and that literally that translates to the local school districts around us, and that's now translating at a much higher level. So yeah, the word's definitely getting out there, mainly because it's a win-win-win. It's great for students that need an alternative path, right? And not everybody fits into that traditional mold, so to speak, of going
Yeah.
to college. And we really created a learning environment where people can be successful. And we've seen lives transform because of this type of program.
Right.
And it's great for, like I say, great for the students. It's great for the industry. And the money's out there. We're
Yeah.
part of something called career technical education. So this is federal money that's been set aside for these types of programs. But schools, they need to know about, they still need awareness as far as what trucking is and how to get involved and how to start a program.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's where we can come in and have, I'm willing to share my curriculum with any school that would like to have it and help them start a program.
Right.
Now, do you work with the trucking associations? I know, for instance, I'm in Washington State. They actually have a young driver program where I think they require like 400 extra hours of training, and they've got a little bit more strict guidelines to allow to get that CDL at a younger age. But they're trying to pave the way for these drivers are still professional. They still have the time in the seat. They still can responsibly operate this, big rig safely for the public. Are you partnering with associations on that front as well, and the
Yeah.
schools?
We sure are. In
Okay.
fact, we gave a presentation to the Washington Trucking Association, to
did?
the board of directors. We've given a presentation to the TAEC, so all of the state trucking executives. I sit on the board of the Kentucky Trucking Association, and we've joined a lot of trucking associations. And so we've kind of determined, and Indiana was a pilot state for us,
Okay.
where we want to help the industry work with education, and we need boots on the ground, and we've done that through the Indiana Motor Truck Association and their Future Leaders of Indiana group. And we're working with them and starting programs around the state at high schools. And it's very interesting. High schools are very interested in wanting to get their students good careers and wanting to get them to stay in their communities. And there's trucking in every community.
Right.
And so when we talk to them about our program, they're immediately interested in seeing what they can do to partner with industry in the area and to create the program. And that's what we're trying to help do. And we're forming state action committees in every state, and we need volunteers to work with education to do that.
That's awesome. You'll get our promotion for sure on that. And we work closely with a lot of the associations as well. So I just think it creates such an exciting opportunity. One of the stats that is probably harder to nail down, maybe you guys have heard it, is not necessarily the barrier of entry or the median ages, but how many drivers are retiring versus coming in. That's the problem that we have, and that's where you hear it, we have a driver shortage, or we've got issues finding qualified drivers or drivers that meet criteria. And insurance companies, let's be real too, don't quite have the eligibility for anyone under a certain age or less than a certain amount of experience, or we're going to have to make some change and shifts there. And that comes with the curriculum and the criteria that you guys are setting forth and kind of building to make sure that it's adequate and that it's proven enough for, let's say, insurance companies to trust, hey, I'm going to hire this 20-year-old with 2 years CDL, but doesn't maybe necessarily have the same requirement, that kind of deal. So have you thought about that, Dave, on approaching insurance companies and kind of working with them and piloting with them?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We're definitely, and we're following the Drive Safe Act, of course.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we do want to make sure the students, when they leave the program, do have that proper training. So our current program is a 1-year program. We're looking at doubling that. We want to turn it into a 2-year program just to give them that extra layer where we can incorporate some OSHA, some basic first aid and CPR training, just so they're better, well-rounded once they leave our program. We're actually starting some really cool over the next couple months. We just purchased a golf cart, and
Okay.
we're going to use this to give them some hands-on. We have 2 driving simulators, which are fantastic, but we're going to incorporate golf carts into our curriculum, and with a utility trailer, it's that hands-on practice again, where they can learn those backing skills.
Right.
It's about connecting with your audience, right?
Yeah.
And so it's anything we can bring in that gets the students excited, where they want to tell their friends. That's how you kind of promote and sell these programs.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Is there any initiatives or any big things coming down the pipeline for the organization that you guys want to boast about or share?
Sure. I mean, one of the cool things that Dave's incorporated and that we're trying to partner with other industry partners so we can work in other states is job behaviors. And Dave gave the juniors in his school the job behaviors assessment, which is what Eduardo was talking about. And so if it behaviorally identifies those kids who will be a good truck driver and be retained in the industry. And the skills can be taught. But when Dave identified those students that scored high on the assessment, the kids that maybe hadn't thought about trucking, and he got girls, more girls than ever in his program this past year through that assessment.
Wow.
And we would like to work with schools with a career day, or even maybe some that have a program, and say, hey, give this job behaviors assessment and see if they score high behaviorally to make a good truck driver. So that's one of the really exciting things we've got going on. We also have a registered Department of Labor apprenticeship program for CDL driving and diesel technicians. And so any company that wants to do a apprenticeship program, they can partner with us, and we have a partner that does the heavy lifting on that, but it actually helps with retention when companies do a Department of Labor registered apprenticeship program. We've got so much going on, and we're so excited about what we're doing, and we're so excited to work with education. It literally just changing a kid's life is what it's all about. And Dave has some really great stories about how he's literally changed kids' lives. Right, Dave?
Well, I didn't realize the impact this program was going to have. When we first started it, I'm like, yeah, I'm teaching truck driving, right?
Right.
It was the first year we had the program, about 2 months into the program, I had a parent that came to me after school. And usually that's not always such a good thing. Usually there's an issue, right? And so he walked in and he introduced himself. And the first thing he said was, after he introduced himself, he goes, I'm here to shake your hand. I'm like, for what? And he said, for saving my son. I'm like, what do you mean? And he went on to explain his son's name was Javier, about how Javier was on a path of self-destruction. He had no self-esteem. He had no purpose in life. And they thought they were losing him. And he said that once Javier took the trucking class, Javier didn't fit into a traditional classroom.
Right.
But once he took the trucking class, he tasted success and he wanted more success. And that young man went on to he became one of the youngest drivers for a local trucking company. Company calls me and they're like, hey, send me more Javiers, right? I'm like, I know there's 20. And then really that's my motivation. Every day I wake up, I know there's over 26,000 public high schools across the U.S. And I just think, how many Javiers are we going to lose along the way? Because they're not connecting in their school. And Javier
Right.
told me, he goes, hey, Mr. Dein, he goes, and he knows he's the lucky one. He said, out of the 9 guys I hung out with in high school, he said 4 are in prison and 2 are deceased due to gang violence because
Wow.
that's the path they went down.
Right.
So he knows. He's like, he goes, I'm blessed. I'm like,
Yeah,
he
he
wants
needs to be a spokesperson for you and come talk to classes and do the career days as you're talking about, Lindsay, because that'd be powerful, right? And that is powerful. That's amazing that you shared that. Thank you for sharing that, Dave.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that you guys necessarily even knew starting this out that you would have the impact that you have. Because, like you said, you started out as a program for just teaching truck driving. You don't necessarily realize that we know there are issues in some schooling and outreach. I mean, personally, I don't feel like I got the outreach or like attraction to job skills or even had any idea what I want to do by the time I was out of high school.
No, not at
So
all.
giving kids purpose and direction is just a byproduct, and how excellent can it be?
You're right. No, it is. It's literally every day. And I don't consider what I'm doing work. It's like this is where I love being every day, and so to me, this is just I'm blessed. Just I get to have this role.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I was curious what maybe you guys can talk about outreach goals. So now that again, it seems like it started organically. Now you're realizing the impact you have. What are your outreach goals? And I mean, where are you now and the progress of that? And then where do you want to be?
Yeah, so we are hoping that the industry joins our association because we're all volunteers. And what we would like is to hire several people to come to work for the association so we can start programs at high schools. And so we want to be actively calling high schools and reaching out to high schools and really letting them know about the trucking industry and how they can start a program, partnering with industry partners in their areas, and really helping connect those relationships. And so, one of the big things is we need the industry to join our association and help us in our mission. And we are on fire for what we're doing, but we have limited resources and limited time because we're all volunteers. And so we hope that as we've launched in July, that we're going to get a membership base where we can all work together as an industry to really make a difference into creating this skilled and diverse workforce, which is what we all want for trucking.
Absolutely. And just to expand a little bit, when you say the industry to join you, what type of people are you looking for specifically?
Yeah, so we're looking for carriers, for dealers. We're looking for allied members, OEMs, private driving schools, technical colleges. We're looking for truck drivers. Maybe I have truck drivers that have joined because they're passionate about their career. They like their career and they just want to support what we're doing and how we're reaching young people. And so that's actually one of the coolest things is when a truck driver joins our association. I just love to see that.
No,
I
that's
think
fantastic.
It's a no-brainer. I feel like truck drivers or company owners, fleet managers, anyone within the associations, and I know that we all partner with them as well. I don't know how you wouldn't get behind this mission because this is how we propel forward and progress and get to where we need to be down the road. So, man, that's amazing. So, and we'll definitely do our part too. I mean, we've got influence in a large database and I hear it, and Ryan deals with clients on a day-to-day basis as well. And it's like, you hear the frustration and the struggles of finding these people that want to come work, that want to show up, that especially when some of them get paid more being at home on unemployment, or they might not even be qualified. You can't find a decent driver because hopefully they're being treated well where they're at. So what do? You get them at a younger age, you get them excited, you get them trained, and you get the new up and comers. And if you treat them right and you do it right, you got a good, loyal workforce that'll stay with you and take care of you for a very, very long time. So this is a really exciting mission. I am fully behind you guys on this. I think it's so cool. I think it's
Thank
very
you.
neat. Yeah.
And one of the things that, that the carriers need to understand is that, some are going to say, well, I can't hire somebody until they're 21. Yeah, I understand that, but you can still create a career path for somebody at 18, bring them into the industry, get them work in the warehouse, the shop. They're going to be a much better driver once they do turn 21 when they understand the different components of the trucking industry anyway. So I highly encourage companies to be creative and think about how you can, if you don't grab them now, you're going to lose them basically, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of that is probably like a reaction and a knee-jerk reaction to not being prepared, right? Because they lose a driver, they need a driver, but they're not really thinking 3 steps ahead. And I feel like you just kind of mirror what I tell a lot of these folks is like, get them in the shop, get them in the yard, get them doing books, get them doing something that can help you spend your time doing other more important things and whatever you need to do, but you get them exposed, you get them trained, you get them a ground-up education on how an operation runs. And if they're going to turn wrenches and be a diesel mechanic and know how to do everything on the truck, that better serves them on the road anyway for the pre-trip, post-trip. Something breaks, they can fix it. They don't have to rely on service to come help them, man. I agree wholeheartedly with that. That's awesome. And I love, you had mentioned that this last class or session or whatever has the most women or females that have gone through that. That's exciting. Like, that is very, very cool.
That's really exciting. I think a lot of it comes from the job behaviors assessment. It's just letting them know that they have the attributes. We can train you, but and so it really opens up that door. And so even the first year I started the program, we became members of the Women in Trucking Association. Just because I felt I needed a
shout out to them.
support. And so each year it grows. So this year we actually have 3 female students, and that's the highest I've ever had taking the class.
That's so cool. As a dad of 2 daughters, that's my mission every day is to teach them what is possible, right? And like no restrictions. You can do whatever you want. You're powerful. You've got all the controls. So that's inspiring to me. I love that you had mentioned that. Thank you for saying that, Lindsay. That's cool.
Yeah, I love it.
I was kind of curious too. What exactly is the organizational structure of the company right now? I know, again, it's seems like it's fairly grassroots and growing, but I'd be interested in kind of hearing the roles and, what, I guess, again, where you're plan to grow. I know you probably want to get people into like lobbying because there's going to be a lot of that's going to be needed in the future, funding, But
I guess if someone wanted to help, where could they step in and help? Let's answer with that.
Yeah, so obviously joining the association and then getting involved, and we can plug people in easily because education is everywhere.
Yep.
So Dave and I are the co-founders of the association, and we have a board of directors. We have several people in Washington, DC, and so they are our eyes on, the infrastructure bill and the Drive Safe Act,
Yep.
and we're on both of those bills, sponsoring those. And we, as a board of directors, we work together to try to push the mission. We're constantly meeting with schools and carriers and dealers and really wanting to help them if they need to start diesel tech programs in their area or CDL driving programs or both. That's what we're trying to help them do is identify schools in their area, or maybe there's already a program for diesel technicians. Let's start a CDL program and tack that onto it. And so it's just about a lot of brainstorming with education, bringing the industry in, and really having the industry partners so they can create a skilled workforce for themselves. But it's an outreach. This is how they're doing outreach into their communities is by really skilling young people, the next generation, and giving them a good career, giving them a hope and a future. And we hope that future is in trucking. And so we also have a foundation that we are forming, which is a 501c3. And with that, we hope to be able to give out scholarships for CDLs, give out scholarships for diesel techs, apply for grants. If somebody needs a simulator for a school, we can help them purchase a simulator. So it's really all about reaching young people and pushing our mission. And as we're all volunteers now, we work a lot, but we're so passionate about it, it doesn't feel like work. And so, hopefully at some point we'll get to grow as an association with full-time employed people. But for now, we're working on volunteers.
And we'll make sure to put links and stuff, but what's the best way for somebody to connect or follow or see what you guys are doing? I know in today's day and age, social media plays a big part in that, but do a couple places where folks can connect and look to and help.
Yeah, so our website's nextgentrucking.org.
Okay.
Our handles on social media, they're at nextgentruckers. We're on LinkedIn at the Next Generation in Trucking Association, and you can email me at Lindsay at nextgentrucking.org, and that's LINDSEY, so Lindsay at nextgentrucking.org, or you can just get on our website, and there's plenty of forms to fill out and contact us, and we'll reach back out to you. It might take a few days because we all are, managing a lot. But you can go right on our website. You can give us a call. You can join right on our website. And what we want to do is really identify needs in your own community and help you start programs at schools. Let's start reaching these young people for the trucking industry. Other industries are doing it, and we want to get in there. There's so much public funding out there that's not going to the trucking industry, and we're trying to change that. We want to reach young people for trucking and try to connect this funding that's out there. So that's what we're hoping to do.
Yeah, and I think it starts even at a younger age too with kids at a very young age, they should be looking at a truck and be excited about it, not just driving down and doing the, hey, blowhorn thing, but like legit look at it as a career option. And I don't know, why do you think it is that kids growing up, or whether parents trying to pass it down, unless you came from a trucking family, similar to insurance, actually, we face the same issue. No one wants to grow up and be in insurance, like, let's be real, but if you understand it, it's appealing. And now we're just blessed and fortunate to work with the trucking industry, and I actually have quite a few family members that drove trucks, so I grew up around it and understand it. But why do you think that is?
Well, from an educational side, I've seen that we pushed college for so long as being the sole
Yes.
definition of the word success, right?
Right.
You're successful if you get the college diploma. And it's really the mindset. And I think, parents are pushing the kids, and the kids just that they don't have the education, the information behind the industry. And so, story, I did a career fair at a middle school, this was 2 years ago.
Okay.
And they had me signed up underneath the title of logistics. Guess how many 7th and 8th graders wanted to hear Mr. Dein talk about logistics? Zero.
Many. None.
So they forced, and I do mean forced, 90 students to come hear me. So I had 3 groups of 30. And so I brought one, I had one of my female students with me at the time, Leilani came with me, and we did our presentation. It was fun and interactive. About 2 weeks later, I get these thank you cards in the mail. And I'm looking at these thank you cards, and I'm like, oh, okay. I can definitely tell the teacher forced them to write this, right? It was kind of like, thank you. And I'm like, all right. But then I saw some other cards that were more like genuine. They were more like, hey, either based on your presentation, I'm either A, going to take your trucking class, or B, I'm considering trucking as a career.
Awesome.
47% of the students that heard one presentation are now considering trucking, right?
That's what they were forced to hear.
And it starts with the title too, logistics. I mean, how boring does that sound?
Right.
Yeah.
One thing another thing we're doing is there's schools that have career days, and right now I'm hoping to get some pictures because the Kentucky Trucking Association our road team, who they're amazing guys, and they are at a high school that has 2,500 students from the whole state of Kentucky that comes to this career fair, and they're taking their truck and they're talking to students about the trucking industry. And
Cool.
so we've connected to them with that and are trying to get connected and know all of those programs out there so we can reach young people, whether it's learning about different industries, but we want trucking to be included. And another thing that I've done today is connected a lot of people to the advisory board for a high school that I sit on their advisory board, and I helped them start their diesel tech program 3 years ago. And
Awesome.
so we need to get the industry engaged, knowing about these programs. And when you walk into this high school and you see these kids, just like Dave's, you would be so impressed about these kids and just their focus and their drive and their interest in trucking. And so really just creating more programs and connecting more industry to them. And it's exciting. It's exciting, but we've got to be engaged as an industry, and we're trying to help facilitate that for us.
Well, and we're better united, right? As a tribe or as a sole mission and purpose as an industry as a whole, versus like what you're doing is great, and there's other organizations that are doing their own thing on an individual level, but there's no power like all of us coming together, trucking companies coming together, associations coming together, starting at the school level, which is why I think your organization's so unique and awesome, is that you're hitting it at that, and you're hitting it at such a young age, gaining exposure there, because I wasn't exposed other than my aunt and uncle team drove from Washington down to Florida, and like I, in the weekends would be in the shop working on trucks and be out there with the big rig. As a kid, you thought it was cool, but outside of that, I would have never had exposure into trucking. And most people don't. Most kids won't. And like you said, you saved a kid from a path of self-destruction, and like that's very powerful. That's super impactful too, changing lives, and not just his lives, probably a lot of lives, right? So you're changing one at a time, which can then go spread the word and just share their passion and joy, which is I think why we're all here. So
Yeah, and I think another thing is that, you guys are talking about college and how kind of people are sold that, but there are a lot of appealing things about being a trucker. For one, especially if you own your own trucking company, there's a lot of independence gain. You get to travel and see the country, and it can
Yep.
be quite lucrative. So you're not only just learning trucking, you're learning business skills, you can learn accounting, and you're learning a lot about the rest of the world, or at least the rest of the country. So there are a lot of appealing things that, I think are valuable to be mentioned in the future if these programs, and I'm sure they will, hit other schools.
And the other thing is that we make a difference. Trucking makes a difference. We could not survive as a country without trucking. And
No.
so that's something that we have to sell to young people is you are stocking the grocery shelves. You are bringing vaccines to people and helping people. And that's what we want to do. So it's such a great career.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and for me, it's the people side of it, and it's like you're going to find some of the most hardworking, dedicated people that are like-minded, and one of the things I try to do with my students, I get them out and we go on a lot of field trips. Mainly, it's not so much they can see these trucking companies. I want them to start meeting people
Yep.
that share their passion, so they want to say, I want to be a part of this community, right?
Yes.
And so they got to make those connections, though.
Yeah, that's what I love what I do. I'm so blessed and fortunate. Every day I talk to people like you said, Dave. It's not work. We're just talking and we're moving and we're hanging out or becoming friends with people we interact with that are just great people, genuinely really, really great people. And I love the aspect that Ryan brought up. You can travel the country and see places you would have never saw in your entire life had you not taken up that career. And so, yeah, there's a lot of appealing stuff, and I think that it doesn't get enough appreciation. I think more so in the last couple of years because of the climate and COVID and everything else, people are more in tune with, hey, we need to thank the truckers because they were labeled essential and like realized we're stuck at home, we can't do anything. Now we're overloading the grocery stores and toilet paper and all this stuff that, like, I don't know what triggered all that. But anyways, they were actually, I think now for first time in a long time, more enlightened to be, appreciative of the trucking community. Now, we've all known this, and we've said it before on this podcast. We wouldn't even be doing this podcast without a truck, because everything that we're talking on, computer, desk, all the materials to build the building, infrastructure, utilities, I mean, it came on a truck, and I just don't think people understand that. And you're absolutely right. So that's our mission. All of our marketing and education and content we bring out, we just want to move the industry forward, keep it progressing, and keep shedding light to what a great industry it is, and kind of help progress it. So what do you, I guess coming out of California, Dave, you're going to be tied really deep in with the independent contractor movement and the doing away of the independent contractors. So where do you stand on that?
We're going to know real soon, aren't we? I guess we'll get the final word. I think the interesting part is a lot of people just don't know about this. And I think a lot of independent contractors don't know about this.
They're going to find out.
They're going to find out very quick. And I heard the number, it could impact up to 70,000 people and 70,000 independent contractors. I'm like, that's crazy.
And unfortunately, California is kind of the trailblazer on that arena. I mean, they really are. And then coming out of Washington, we kind of follow suit fairly quick behind a lot of the trends that hit. But it's scary. And I think the 1099, the contractor route, gives a lot of people opportunity to go into business without maybe the full risk of scaling at scale for a business. And it gives them an opportunity to get exposed on a small level. And you're going to remove that from them. You're going to force a lot of people to go company side, and as we all know, I mean, not the mega carriers aren't the best option for everybody, or certain businesses aren't ran very well. They don't appreciate the drivers, which is also a problem in the workforce, is lack of education, lack of culture, lack of training, lack of being conscious of safety. And I'm guessing, Dave, in your curriculum, a big part and emphasis is on safety, would be my guess. I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but yeah, it's scary. I'm really curious to see what happens on that.
It is. No, we're following this as a class. I mean, we and so they're on top of it. And we're just, like I say, we'll know here real soon in November which way this thing's going to go. But I'm not. The Supreme Court only looks at 3% of the cases, and so I don't know. I'm not very optimistic they're even going to look at it.
We'll find out.
I mean, it does have bigger connotation for the rest of the country. So I guess we have that going for us as far as the Supreme Court taking a look at it. But they also, they seemingly like to look at more controversial cases.
Right.
And who knows if this.
Hey, so for the field trip, Dave, what music are we listening to? Are you doing Red Sovine? Are you doing any old school truckers?
You know
what culture are we exposing these kids to?
I have my own playlist. There's a musician out there. His name's Tony Justice. If you ever get a chance to listen to him, he has some great trucking songs. I put together a video with some pictures of our program, and it's called We Drive Trucks. But you know what? A lot of times we're just talking, and we're looking at other trucks going down the highway, and we're just analyzing the trucks and seeing who's on their phone, and if they're driving safe. And so it's conversation.
3 points contact, hands off, seatbelt. Yeah. I think it's cool too, because my kids are starting to kind of realize they got day cabs, and like you can start like pinpointing what they haul, where they're, that kind of stuff. It's kind of neat to get them exposed to that world too. So
we were driving down the street one day. This was a month ago with my daughter, who's in 6th grade. Okay. And she started talking about this reefer truck that was driving down the highway beside us. And she started telling me all about the reefer truck and what they usually haul and how they have to clean it out. And I was like, how did you know about this? And she had watched a TikTok video of a truck driver explaining his truck and showing through this TikTok video all about his truck. And so she's in 6th grade, and for her to be exposed to that is awesome.
That's
awesome. We've got to do more things like that to get young people knowledgeable about the truck that's driving beside them that brings them food.
Yeah, maybe I should reconsider my daughter looking at TikTok. That stuff scares me. There's a lot of social media channels that it's like, I don't know anything about it. I don't want you looking at that stuff. So
yeah.
But you're right. Those are also, we need to connect in where they want to be connected, right? And that's what marketing and I'm sure you guys are probably exploring is what platforms should we push out content, market to? How do we get to the younger generation? You got to go where they're at. I don't think it's on Facebook. I think there's an age where nobody's on Facebook anymore, and I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's we're probably at the end of that. So awesome. Let's see. Anything else that's coming up that you guys are excited to share, or that you guys want to go into, or maybe some upcoming steps or missions or anything like that?
I'm going to be at the Conversion Conference in Nashville
Cool.
in November. I'm excited about that. And yeah, I'm excited to speak to all the career counselors, the school counselors. We are also a part of the Association of Career Technical Education and their Workforce Development Board. And so
Awesome.
we're doing a lot of things to learn and to expose our the next generation for trucking. And it's just a day by day thing of really reaching young people. And so we hope that the industry reaches out to us so we can help get them connected in their communities.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of cool. This year, I actually just got back from attending my first conference in like 2 years.
Yeah.
So it was nice to get back, see some friends, old faces, get back in person. You know, you're still doing the mask and hand washing and distancing and stuff like that, but that was a breath of fresh air, if you will. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
exciting. Cool.
Yep.
Next year, do you guys hit the big conferences for like ATA and that kind of stuff, or what next year could we expect out of you guys?
It's a good question.
Or anything nothing on the agenda as of yet?
We have proposed to speak at not the ATA, but the Truckload Carriers Association.
Okay, cool.
So we've proposed to speak and do a panel there with some of our board members, and hopefully we'll do that. But we're all about, we're a nonprofit, so in
Yeah.
order to do things, we need funding. I'd
Yeah.
love to go to the Association of School Counselors conference that's next summer in Texas and take a truck, let them see what trucking's about.
Yep.
So there's a lot of opportunities. We just have to grow as an association
Yeah.
in order to be able to take on those opportunities and be able to have funding and hire several employees in order to push the mission. So.
And I think the mission's strong enough. I have no doubts you guys will grow and get followers and get people on board. I mean, I can't see that happening. So I think it's amazing. I think I'm super excited to see where you guys go, and I want to follow that and keep close tabs on that. And we'll be supporting and joining and whatever we need to do. Also, I'm excited too about our existing clients is we can start getting introductions and start putting you guys in front of some of them as well, because they talk about the same stuff. You know, we talk to truck company owners all day. That's who we deal with, and we hear the same thing. It's just regurgitated from different parts of the country, and
Right.
This is something that they need to open their minds to and get behind, and for me it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that.
Yeah.
So
Same.
awesome. One of the things we like to do, I know Ryan always asks a question at the end about, and we got two people here. So if you can share a message, billboard along the freeway or whatever, it's floating through the sky. What is some wisdom you would like to share with the rest of the country? We'll let Dave answer this first, and then we'll go Lindsay.
Create your own definition of success.
Like that. What's your
Love that.
definition?
My definition?
Yep.
Find your passion, and I think your passion will lead you to your purpose. And I think when you find your purpose, you find happiness.
Yep. It's not all about money. People have a misconception. The more money they make, the happier they get, but that's not always true, right?
No.
No. Exactly. No.
Definitely not.
No. In fact,
I love that.
I actually went back and I drove a truck this summer, right?
Yep.
And I forgot how much I miss driving a truck. Because for the last, 15 years, I've been the instructor in the passenger seat, not driving. I'm there.
Right.
And it was nice to get back behind the wheel and pull a few loads. And I remember just having that joy back again of why I got into trucking in the first place.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's
And did you
awesome.
guys know what he's doing with the money he made for the summer?
No. Let's hear.
No.
So Well, the reason I went back into trucking is I shared a story. One of our daily updates was about on the driver shortage and the impact it was going to have on the California agricultural harvest.
Okay.
And so I made an off-the-cuff statement to my students. I said, you know what? I should go back and drive this summer to be a part of the solution. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense, right? I should go back and drive. So I went back to a company I drove for back in the 90s. I drove for them for 7 summers to pay my way through college, called Morningstar Trucking.
Okay.
And they hauled tomatoes from the fields to the processing plant. So I called them and we had a meeting and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And they're like, oh, we'd love to have you back. That's great. I said, yeah, but I don't feel comfortable, or it just doesn't feel right me doing this and getting paid, right? So I told them I'm going to donate my salary to the Next Generation in Trucking Foundation.
Oh, cool.
And they said, hey, you know what? Whatever you make, we'll match.
No way.
I'm like, all right. So it was great to go out there and drive, and also do it for such a great cause. So
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and kind of put your money where your mouth is, and then you made the statement, what better to do than lead by example?
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Thanks for bringing that up,
Yeah.
Lindsay. He was modest. He wasn't going to do that. So
Yeah.
I love that you pulled that out. That's awesome. Great story.
Yeah.
Super
It
cool.
works.
All right, Lindsay, what's your wisdom? I want to hear this.
I really feel like times are changing. There is a shift on the horizon of kids needing other opportunities besides going to college at 18 years old. I swear I see this shift happening, and I think we're getting in front of it. It's not either or, it's maybe both, or it's I want to do a career technical education job and I want to get into the trucking industry. You can make a great living as a truck driver your entire career, or a diesel technician, or you can own your own fleet. You can become a safety manager, an HR professional. And so I think times are changing. I think when we start introducing these young people, these young kids to the trucking industry and get them trained, they're going to have different options. And it's not going to be 60% of people go to college to get 30% of the jobs. It's let's go and start working right away and start getting an income and then explore and kind of decide what I want to do.
Preach. I love it. That's so cool. Yeah, I think you're right. It starts at a young age, and grooming to the definition of success means you go to college, you graduate, you come out, you're successful with a load of debt and a job you don't know what you want to do, and you had to decide on some degree that a counselor helped that might not help you. And to be honest, I don't know the stats, but probably most won't. You know what I mean? Because they don't know what they want to do at that age anyway, most. And I think college serves a purpose, and there's definitely some professions that, yes, I absolutely want them going to college and getting all the degrees and accolades and training, but they're missing the boat on truck driving. We'll go back to logistics, and all the other things that go into that with construction and all these other segments that a CDL will open up. Tow trucks, bus drivers. I mean, there's all these things that you can do with a CDL. You don't even just have to drive a semi-truck. So I love it.
At the end of the day, it's just about having the technical skills and giving people the technical skills and not just a piece of paper that might be even for an oversaturated job market.
Right.
It's fantastic. You're giving people life skills that they can actually benefit from in the short term and for the rest of their life if they so choose. So thank you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it so very, very much. We'll be following you closely and rooting you guys on, and we'll get as much as exposure as we can for you to the database and followers and connections. So thank you very
Perfect.
much. Yeah,
Love it.
awesome. All right, guys, that's another episode of Get a Load of This Trucking. We thank you very much for listening. Go follow them. Go support the mission. Go connect with nextgentrucking.org. Sign up if you're a truck driver, company owner, fleet manager, association, anyone really involved in trucking. I mean, I feel like it's worth supporting the cause. Go follow them, donate, be a member, all that good stuff. So until next time, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.